Welcome back, everybody, to the SFCL. We're officially out of our Swiss stage, and we enter into the quarterfinals. My name's Infernosa, joined here alongside Gallo, and we've got ourselves two teams. One of them being allowed to move on here out of and continue on in our playoffs, and the other one, well, they've got to move on to maybe not so much greater things. It's Make-A-Wish, who went 3-2 on our Swiss stage, facing off against Wildcard, who went 3-1. Two should be evenly matched teams trying to vie for competency here in this season.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one, right? One of these teams gets to a semi-final, other one has to then sit out for the rest and wait to see who our champion's going to be from the sidelines. I'm looking forward to seeing these two teams sort of come back together again. We got to see them for the season opener, playing that best of one, a little bit of Villa action, 8-7 scoreline. So with both these teams showing improvements throughout their games since our opener, you know what? I think it's fair to say that we're in for a really good treat here between the two. Again, like you said, it's going to be a pretty head-to-head tough game.
Yeah, we'll have to see how truly close this game can be. But before that, let's go actually see what our rosters are going to be. Bit of a shake-up for one of these teams. Still having 3 out of their 5, but a couple subs being brought in. For the Make-A-Wish side, it is creators Maxley, Kixrel, Butters, and Silent. I actually believe that's not 100% correct. I believe we have 2 subs for them. Maybe them over Wildcard. I believe Yardy is coming in alongside possibly one more subbing in for Kixro. Cannot confirm that one. But that's Make-A-Wish. Let's go ahead and take a look over at Wildcard just the same. Make-A-Wish are typically better when it comes to their defense there in Galu, but they still have a good 45% attacking win rate. The same thing cannot be said for the Wildcard Aces. Look at this team. 59% attacking percentage rate, 54% defensive. They are the favorite going into this matchup. It's JG, Kirubino, Riot, and Bry on the board.
Yeah, I think the Wildcard Aces, right, just having that strong attacking percent win rate is always lovely to see in teams, and it's something that they've talked about. We've had the opportunity after games to catch JJ for interviews. They said they feel very comfortable in their attacks. They feel that the attacks is what separates them from other teams. And I think in this matchup particularly, if they can have strong attacks against Make-A-Wish and then just consolidate on their defensive end of things, should be a pretty solid series coming in from them. But Make-A-Wish always got the opportunities to try and just shake things up a bit, and that always starts with the map veto here, Infernosis. And I mean, look, you're looking already, theme park gone, skyscraper gone. Look, I love to see these maps, but I get it at this point, maybe avoid them.
Yeah, personally, Theme Park has been played a lot here in the T3 scene, especially within the SFCL, and seeing it go first is a little bit shocking, but Make-A-Wish seemingly have something they're keen on doing. They followed suit with their second ban going into Clubhouse and then Cafe off the board, so maybe we're seeing Wildcard trying to make a fan of me, knowing maybe I hate that map first and foremost. But it is Villa to start things off, followed by Chalet. Really, Wildcard is just testing my ego here by banning my least favorite map and then picking my favorite. But those are our 2 guarantees should it be necessitated for our decider. It will in fact go over to Oregon with the fact that Border and Bank were banned. So a very T3 centric lineup here for our map selection, which isn't the most shocking thing in the world. Stay what's you're most comfortable with, but the longer we go to maps like Oregon, the more likely it is that teams that are statistically better and maybe play better will fall short against teams that maybe will catch them on the upper hand. Oregon's known as the map where good teams will go to die, and with Wildcard being the favorite team, maybe that's where they'll run into the most trouble. They're going to try to conclude this in 2.
Yeah, this is an interesting spread of maps here. I mean, Chalet, we've seen Wildcard Aces bring this out a fair bit throughout the season, and they've generally maintained a pretty solid win rate. They did lose 7-0 on it at the start to Orbit at the time illness, but I don't think that's really going to be too relevant to this game. Since then, have some good showings on it. They beat West Garfield Park in the decider map of their last best of 3 they had to play to make it to the quarterfinals. They also beat Method on that the week before. But obviously we're starting here on Villa, and Villa, I mean, Make-A-Wish played it most recently, nice little A6 win against Outlast. My concern for them is that sometimes they don't look great on the attack at coming in and getting these opening picks here. And Inferno, they're starting on the attack. So this is something where Wildcard Aces, if they can just sort of wait out the round a little bit, get that opening pick and play back, things could really start to struggle, but here comes that classic Dokkaebi ban.
Very interesting to me to see Villa and Chalet go on the board. NA tends to be a little bit lagging behind when it comes to percentile winages. when it comes to the defense and the attack in comparison to other regions such as, Europe or South America and dealing with APAC and Brazil, you have to be very wary of the fact that NA is a little bit different in that regard, and the T3 scene is very much so hard stuck in that point. They really don't stray away from what the pro scene does. It's called trickle-down stratonomics. That's the little key term that I coined for it. Starts in the pro scene, it hits the T2 scene, it drops down, T2 scene, drops down to the T3 scene, and then it hits everything else past that point, collegiate pretty much after that, or around the same time as T3. We're pretty much still stuck in the state where it's favorited, it's going to stay that way. And while everywhere else on pretty much every map is attacker favorited for the most part, you still see some maps go towards the defense. Villa, this one could go either way. I would like to say that defense could be a better option here starting off for the Wildcard Aces, not just because they are favored a team going into this one, but on top of that, they had a pretty solid defensive win rate. Meanwhile, Make-A-Wish didn't have the best attacking win rate, and their defensive side was their stronger half.
I still can't get over the fact I'm so torn on whether I hate trickle-down stratonomics. Because on one hand, it's genius, but on the other, the origins is just
it's horrible.
Something I hate. So, but you know what? I'll give you credit for that one. That's a banger. I have to agree with you completely here. Make-A-Wish starting on the attack is going to hamper them initially into this game. I do wonder if they've been able to sort of pull things around a little bit. The last two times these guys played here, that 8-7, the attack was kind of an important side for both of these teams, getting a lot of their wins on. It was 4-2 split each time, so I don't know how this is exactly going to pan out. I'm quite interested to see how these attacks have changed since then, but immediately, Wildcard Aces going for this extension. They're running the Wamai. They want to try and catch these gadgets. And interestingly to me, they haven't banned out the Azami, which we see them doing a lot of places, instead getting rid of that Valkyrie. So denying Black Eye information. They're starting on defense. They don't want to have to deal with that side swap stone photo, because otherwise you're just running around with those nitro cells. The floor goes boom every place you step. It's a bit of a pain on a map like that.
It surely can be, especially when you're considering towards kitchen and dining, where you see kind of the older mainstay style play of pulses and castles and cap cans and things like that, right? A lot of nitro cells typically being brought alongside that cardiac sensor. Nitros are very dangerous, and when you're talking about planes and games, the player down at piano can really deny a play from below, planting behind that vault door, and they can do so mostly safely, which is something that a lot of teams really desire for a point like this, where there is a quick entry in through bust and a somewhat safe plant idea. Some teams will just say, hey, that's what you bring a smoke for. That's what you have the toxic babes in the back pocket to work with. Wildcard Ace is not opting to do so, and on top of that, one thing that is of keynote that you kind of touched on there in your last statement, the Azami's on the board. Meaning, the Flores ban is not as impactful as it necessarily could have been. With Azami still being allowed to be played, you don't have a lot to deal with those giant barricades that'll be plopped up in front of your view. It's going to make it very difficult for the attack to safely get around some of these foothold and apex fronts that Wildcard Ace is going to be rocking with in this first half. And wow, already, first bloods for both sides. Bry finding Maxley, and JJ lost their life fairly early on.
Yeah, I think you're actually kind of okay with that from the side of Wildcard, though, right? You got a bit of damage onto Silent as well, whether you know it or not. That is going to pay off for you later on. You lose the Jaeger, the deployment's already done. You get rid of a set of nades. Maxley hadn't thrown any of those out, and now Kiru just getting aggressive, dropping that hatch, is able to trade out, right, coming down the stairs to get Butters as well. That's a beautiful little bit of coordination there from the Aces. You run off like bandits, get back to site, you wait things out a little bit more, and again, just this constant drain from Make-A-Wish's attack.
Slow and steady burn. Bino working from behind bar and looking for maybe a chance to get a shot from below. Make-A-Wish are at a very tumultuous point of time, trying to pursue here towards the side. It's main stairs coming out here for Silent, and there's not very many options left for Make-A-Wish to actually step in here safely. Silent will maybe have a congestion here. The Azami of Bry not far in front of them, lingering just in front of that veranda door frame, and the barrel's been spotted, but the draw too quick with the SMG. Bry will find themselves on the upper end of over Silent, and it's just Drip remaining. They have to do everything by themselves. 3 players they'll have to cut through. They'll need to find their first kill here in this round, and there's those Azami barricades we highlighted previously. Such a dangerous piece of utility, but Bry doesn't even need it to win the next gunfight. A second run from that same doorway, and they'll find themselves a round 1 victory.
Yeah, you got to do it from both sides just to prove it's not a fluke, right? And I mean, look, the whole thing from Wildcard Aces coming out in that round, they lose the opening pick, and Make-A-Wish sort of playing the opposite of how we usually see them, often times struggling to get the opener, but then having a great adjustment in the mid-round. That time, Wildcard Aces just adding a bit of chaos to the round, dropping down the hatch, Kiru making some trouble, getting a double piece, and then you have the Butters playing around the top of the staircase, again, just getting caught off, and Wildcard Aces doing what we've seen them do time and time again, just having really good coordination and double swinging as a team, playing for picks together on the defense, which is just very difficult for teams to sort of deal with a lot of the times. And you're looking at a squad that has struggled with that the most out of any of the playoff teams, for my money. It's always going to help you.
Whew. Make-A-Wish. Trouble in map 1 already. Round 1 falls short. It wasn't even that close. Wildcard Aces just had a very clean performance when it came to their defense. Only dropping 2 players. Yes, they acquiesced first blood. I don't think they're too troubled about that. JJ wasn't as important of a piece to their total kit as it could have been. Losing that Jaeger, yes, you do drop the 416C, but the ADSs have already gone down. Their utility has already been consumed. Make-A-Wish still have to burn the utility that's put in play. It's not like you're looking at a Valorant game where KJ dies and the turret now falls asleep once she's dead. That util is going to have to be burned and dealt with, and Make-A-Wish just ran out of the players and the total count to do so. Take a look in the top left corner at the total utility being brought out in this round for Make-A-Wish. They're making sure they've got a lot to send out their way. Nades, 2 in the pockets here for Kixro. Still have the breaching charges that you can work with in the rounds, and the hands here are silent. Flashes and smoke should it be needed. Lots there to burn, but keep in mind, it's only the ADSs to deny that util this round for the Wildcard Aces. They are not bringing out the pancakes from Wamai, from Kiru.
I was going to say my main concern was still the amount of explosives to do with these keepers. Silent had an answer, immediately walked for a Capcan trap and went down as well. Kixro now using the nade underneath, gets rid of the shield placed there on the corner of Astro, forces the defender back as well. Now trying to use the vertical holes to maybe catch them out on the desk. A bit of barbed wire to contend with though, and will sort of halter the attack for the time being, waiting for the rest of the team to get that control on the window and in Bathroom as well, so that you're not going to get caught out by an aggressive swing from the defense. They have vacated Astro now walking just a little bit further back and waiting to clear out these drones, but they already have good access so close to the site here, and you can see Kick, he wants to look for this fight.
Finds an upper hand. It does indeed go their way. JJ's off the board. The EDD has already found 1 impact here in this round. There goes Butters, though, taking down Kiru, and Make-A-Wish have been much more impactful here in this round, taking a very direct approach in here towards site, but Riot taking down Butters in Master Bedroom, and Drip quickly through the smoke, equalizing things now down to a 2-on-2. Make-A-Wish pressed in towards Astronomy, trying to go through the rotate hole, made through that triple wall, but unfortunately Kix is down to 45 HP. Not enough to work with the truly entry in as they would like to, and a player hiding behind the bomb chassis. No, by statue, it's Bino for another, dropping maxily. It's just Kix all by their lonesome. Diffuser in no man's land, easily collectible, but it costs them a huge amount of HP to do so, and it's a stand-up frag. Once again, a much more tumultuous round for the wildcard side, but they still come out victorious.
Yeah, and I mean, Make-A-Wish kind of did the right thing there, right? They get that control downstairs, they're able to get the pick onto the Azami, you no longer have to worry about these keepers, you can play a little bit more loosely, now you don't have to burn through so much utility. But what happens? You move into Astro, you just get caught off by Riot. There's not much you can do in that situation, right? Riot, wonderful little challenge onto Brix, gets the player and master, and then just domes him through the smoke. You can't really complain, right? It's just unfortunate timing on the side of Make-A-Wish, fantastic timing and intuition from Riot. But you got to deal with those. And in the 2 versus 2, the way that Bino and Riot had set themselves up with this crossfire on the split doorway, there was no opportunity for the players of Make-A-Wish to walk into Statue, but they still have no information inside of sight. The drones are too little at this point. With time ticking away from them, they don't have that opportunity to get the information before they move in. They have to try and pick one or the other. They get that sort of mini trade out, lose the 1 versus 1. And again, Wildcard Aces just doing a really good job of just playing off the back of each other to make sure that they tidy up these rounds. That Make-A-Wish, in that round, the position they're in, the 4 versus 2, should be able to push it through.
I highlighted this objective previously in an earlier conversation in round 1 about how it's very reminiscent of older style of siege play. Pulses, castles, cap cans, a lot of nitro cells typically. Not what we're seeing right now from the Wildcard Aces. In fact, it's a very newer setup coming out for them. Do have the Melusi with the Banshee, as they do have a mute to work with. Once again, kind of foregoing the idea of a Toxic Babe. They have not opted to bring out smoke whatsoever in all 3 rounds we've seen. Heroes moving over from a Trap Operator that was previously brought that Capkin in the hands of Riot, now over to the Frost Mats. Goo Mines and these Zombie Barricades as well to work with lots of utility, but a distinct lack of verticality denial, destructive denial from the floorboards below. Only 1 single Nitro Cell, and I can only imagine Bino will save that for a toss-up over Tetris to go for the denial of the Diffuser plant. But here's a quick entry coming out for Make-A-Wish. Silent is already in the site. JJ is already dead, but thankfully Riot can find a frag back to maybe tie things together and make it a second. Riot is making quick work of the competition. Make-A-Wish's pincer falls short, and Riot takes a third of the afterlife.
What more are you supposed to say, right? They get that pressure in, they start applying pressure around the site. Kix is still here looking for more, takes some damage from inside of the site as Bry will shut him down when he had absolutely no clue where he's supposed to be looking here. And now, once again, Maxley's in this 1 versus 3 position. Make-A-Wish not quite sure where the round suddenly slipped away. Does get the pick onto Bry, though, reduces it down to the 1 versus 2, and Riot on such low HP through the shootable. You can shoot through it if they get the ping. Shoots out the Frost Mat, making sure they can enter safely without gonna get that crunch sound and ruin the round before any opportunity can really begin for them here, but still just posturing around the door. Riot staying dead still, does not want to give away any sound, and the scan from the Onyx Tracker giving him away, the smoke being popped down, almost to bait a run away. But they're just waiting patiently, no one making the move until they do. Maxley baits him up with the sprint, takes down Riot, finds himself in a 1 versus 1 with Bino now. One of the last alive in the last round. Can he bring it home for the team here? 50 seconds left on the clock, though, Inferno, and just still looking for this single doorway. Pulls out the shotgun, maybe anticipating the Jackal to walk up a little bit closer, but the rotation comes through to China, looking for an alternate way into the site. Met immediately by Bino. The smoke dropped, but still can watch the door. Recognizes the rotation coming through, and again, just watching with the SMG-11 ready to take the gunfight. The pings come through. This is the opportunity for Maxley to take the swing, but Bino still comes out on top.
Bino is forced to go for the gun engagement, not only because the Inox scanner that was tracking their position from the initial angle they were working from, but also they stripped and ripped their Nitro Cell too early. Blew it quickly after they had just lost Riot behind that frame. All right, at a wonderful round, sitting 8-1 now up to this point. Could have gone 9-0. They hadn't fell victim there to Maxley right at the end. But the Wildcard Aces just look insurmountable. A 3-0 start. This would maybe be the point at which Make-A-Wish would call a timeout. They've seen all 3 objectives. They've seen 3 different playstyles for those points. But notice the disparity in terms of the operator selection that the Wildcard Aces have been bringing. It seems like every round there's something new going on. There's something different working for them. Make-A-Wish just still haven't necessarily found that answer. The concern in round 1 was Brian the Azami hanging out inside study, dealing so much damage to that door frame towards main stairs, taking down 2, both Silent and Drip in the final frags. Round 2 became a problem for Riot once again. Same thing with Kiro. And then in round 3, who else but Riot with a single SMG spray through multiple walls to deal with players. It just feels like Make-A-Wish are trickling in 1 by 1, and that lets Wildcard fight those fights where they theoretically have a 50-50 shot, and they're just gunning better. So it turns into a 90-10.
We'll have to see how they deal with it, right? Because even more has been added to this roam, and that looks, from the look of things, we've seen a large chunk of this Make-A-Wish front starting off. Don't want to deal with quite as direct an approach, instead clearing across the top. And with the operator lineup, I can kind of see why, right? You're looking at things like the Osa, who can control that study from the other side, doesn't need as much support from the rest of the squad to be in this position, does have the Diffuser, which is interesting. And maybe one will want to rotate that around later on into the round, or perhaps you just walk through study and try and move in for the plant. These Keepers just immediately run past. Kix finding no one here to confront him, Inferno, which is a bit interesting to me with how much reinforcements, how many Keepers they invested on this side of the map. To give it away in 50 seconds, this feels phenomenal for Make-A-Wish to already be past all of that setup.
So much danger they had previously, and they already had a first blood. JJ had been felled this early, about 30 seconds total into the round in round 1. While there was a refrag back after that point, it feels like Make-A-Wish don't have as much pressure going against them. It doesn't seem like Wildcard Aces have extended that far out towards the master bedroom. And that early pressure for that extension has been quickly felled back. I only like the idea about how quickly Make-A-Wish are starting to pressure forward. Run that trophy entrance side. Silent is droning out as best they can. More likely than not going to pursue a drone over towards that classical 90 hall. But this is the point at which Make-A-Wish will say, hey, we had the idea. Diffuser was over towards Veranda, but that's pretty darn dangerous. Let's go ahead and move that back over to the rest of the team. Drip will do so, and then rotate back over towards that study door like you highlighted in that window. But Akiba Barricade locks out that window, and Bry locks out that door frame. Could be a very dangerous fight for Drip, who, unfortunately, if they lose that pincering player, could cost them dearly.
The hard breach charges to get that access into Vault, and immediately throwing out a Candela, a quick trade in the background. Kiru goes down, but they're able to take Drip with him. Butters does have that diffuser now, though, and is waiting on landing for the fire to go away. The Vulcan detonating when they tried to walk on in. Still plenty of Candelas, only one used in that initial fray, but you've got to be careful fighting for control of this main stairs. With Riot has immediately come back down, popping the Vulcan to continue to stall out this time. While they're just waiting for these positions to clear up. Silent getting hit by the Nitro Cell, but still able to live through it. But he's found his way inside a Vault. He's got one, looking for the second one onto Brian. Runs out of bullets. Gonna have to take a second to reload, but Maxley able to keep up the pressure. They know there's one more behind the bar. Do they see him as he goes around the corner? Yes, he does. Silent, and using the mirror window, able to pop it as well and get the final kill. Treated to a masterclass of Silent walking through sight and ripping apart Wildcard.
The defense there of Wildcard Aces was just a little bit too passive, and that passivity cost them dearly. Silent taking a keynote out of maybe Riot's book about aggressing after the first frag and using that as a snowball effect to collect more. Because of that, the FMG9 just has plenty of targets to go against. What are you going to do against it? There's nothing you can truly fight back. Allow for Silent to swing from that trophy side, from Vault in towards the bar, take down the bar player, swing from that own mirror window that was put in play, and use that defensive utility against them. Did feel like Bry had enough impact there in that round defensively. Yes, they did take down Drip, but Kiru lost their life in the same fell swoop. And losing out on that Wamai loses a key gun in an engagement when you're locking down behind a shield. It's just something that Wildcard Aces didn't want to give up at that point where there was still a minute left on that round. And Make-A-Wish knew that. They knew that they needed to apply that pressure quickly. Send Silent to the breach. They had already opened up inside Vault. Take that pressure early. Catch the side of Wildcard rotating to retake control of that shield placed on map and work from there. And they caught them on that rotate. Caught them on that defensive adjustment. And Make-A-Wish will capitalize.
Maxley just... I wish it kept the blitz. Bit of a blitz enjoyer, but you know what? I can see why maybe that isn't the kind of play they want to go for. Grabbing that Lion once again, and I'm sure they'll be hoping to get a little bit more value out of it this time around. The scan's not really coming through in time to save the rest of the squad last time we saw them bring it. But immediately setting up on this window, just watching in towards Wolf, the silhouette crossing over, but not at the same time. They drop away, they bow out of that 1 versus 1 very early on into the round. Neither team wanting to lose that initial member. The Claymore's being set up to watch out for runouts. Makes sense, it has bit Make-A-Wish in the past on this map. Still just getting ready. The setup here, they bring in the ace, they want to try and play for that master control, and again with Butters bringing that drone in down below, I'm expecting to see some pressure up this astronomy staircase like we saw before. It was kicked underneath with nades trying to clear this position out. I don't see a good reason why it isn't going to be the same thing again. Silent not getting caught out by a Capcan trap quite so early into this round also means they will have this breaching launcher to be able to use to just get rid of some of these castle barricades that are clogging up a bit of the bathroom corridor.
Make-A-Wish, last time we saw this objective, didn't necessarily have to be concerned about the ADSs and the magnets. They opted to bring plenty of flashes to deal with those key core kits of the Wildcard Aces, unfortunately losing a huge amount of that potential early. Losing one player to a Frostbat, one in a DBNO. They'll both be cleared up. Butters and Silent off the board, and Silent's not going to be allowed to repeat the miracle, I would say. It may seem that if you're a Wildcard Aces fan, that victory in that last round. Drip able to find one pick, but unfortunately the second will elude them. It leaves just Maxley and Kickstro all by their lonesome in a 2v4. Double the man disparity. A very tough battle ahead for the Make-A-Wish side. And it's not going to be the easiest of chances. Note where Bry is lying in wait. It's not that veranda door that they highlighted the last few times we've seen that Plains and Game Zoom side, but it is still just as dangerous to swing, but Kicks goes prone and catches Bry's feet.
They never cleared out this position in the back corner of Astronomy on the globe. With the way the walls have been set up, moving out of this position can be quite difficult with the long angles that can be drawn in towards you, shooting out the drones and backing off again. Still this man advantage, and Maxley so low on HP is something you want to make sure you keep control of.
You're low on HP, and you're also low on flashes now, coming quickly. Having to use their Gone 6 to break away the barricade, give them a chance for an entry. Kicks throw already at the door here, stepping in towards Statuary, looking to clear away the possible player inside Master Bedroom's door. But no one is there. Kicks is quite aware that there could be one a bit farther behind, but doesn't swing far enough to see Bino, and will pay the price because of it, taking down Max, and they'll let their teammate deal with the final. It's JJ stepping up after that last round. And it will be a round one for the Wildcard Aces to alleviate some of the concern that was possibly there that the Make-A-Wish side could have surmounted a comeback to maybe bring things up to a 3-3 half. The Wildcard Aces have guaranteed positivity at this halftime switch.
It just feels like Make-A-Wish forgot the reason why they were in the advantageous spot the last time they were attacking that site, right? They had Silent, they had Kicks come underneath, start to apply a little bit of pressure. They got an early pick, right? Lose it to the Capcan trap, but more importantly, they were playing below with explosives to try and just deny utility. And instead, they didn't focus on getting below. They never had a plan for how to get past the shield that was set up in Astronomy. And because they never did that, they started moving into the walk-in. They met that early lineup of aggression that we saw from Wildcard Aces that you should be expecting when you see the castle, when you see the Azami. And they just kind of got caught out and gunned down on these longer angles, which is something that, again, there were good ways for them that they have shown they can do to deal with that. It's a little bit unfortunate because Make-A-Wish a couple times now have had a good idea before, come back a second time, and not quite been able to execute in the same way. I don't know, I just want to see another attack and win.
It feels like we're missing a lot from Make-A-Wish. I think that's kind of the ultimate point, the dumb down point. I'll take a play-by-play moment here. I'll dumb it down as best I can. It just feels like Make-A-Wish have a lot at their fingertips, but it doesn't feel like they're making full use of what's been allotted to them. There's a lot of space that's theoretically on the board. There's a lot of util they're bringing to burn away lots of key core kits here for the Wildcard Aces, but it just still never feels like it's enough, despite having the pieces of the puzzle ready and waiting. Impact nade goes out. It will clear away the Selma placed on that wall. A second one sent out by JJ, and their last, but he still also sends out a couple shots towards Kickstarter's heads, and what do you know? They'll connect. They'll force over, Make-A-Wish towards maybe away from Pantry, but Trip has other ideas. Takes a very dangerous swing. Will fight a one-on-one with Diffuser in their pocket, but thankfully for the Make-A-Wish fans out there, they'll come up clutch and find themselves an even trade.
Yeah, you now have this pressure inside a Pantry. The Jammer back online now after the EMP's duration running out, so you can't get that breach open without taking a swing through that doorway. Other players inside of Kitchen preventing that from being a possible course of action for the time being. So the rotation coming through, join up with the rest of the squad. Interesting scan here. You're not seeing too much action downstairs. It's above now that you want to see what they can try and pull off. They have Butters on this sledge. If they can start to apply this vertical pressure to clear up space for them to walk in for this plant, that would be fantastic. Just nading out these corners, making sure they can walk through the top floor. But it's tucked away in the corner of Astronomy that they're going to have to be very careful of. Bribe once again just playing so cheekily on a doorway. Does Gemini spot it? Does the Gemini check? Does the Gemini check?
Bribe will clear away the Gemini replicator. Quickly make their hasty retreat back down to that first floor, and Silent is readily aware of that fact. You got more than just drones in the back pocket of Make-A-Wish, which is a thankful measure. Look at how many drones they have remaining, and that's been a consistent factor for their team. Only 2 up to this point. It was the same thing last round and the same thing the round before. Feels like all their drones are going a bit too dangerously into the thick of the fight and costing them a lot of information that could be readily, apparently, I would say, impactful when it comes to these later stages. Hero in a firefight for their life, and unfortunately, it's forfeited. Maxley gets the upper hand just barely, surviving with 40 HP on top, putting us into a double-man disparity against the Wildcard Aces, who are finally looking down the barrel end of a possible round loss after the, well, round 4 round they took previously. Brian, another firefight, no matter how cheeky they can be. Maxley still manages to even things out for a trade, leaving just Riot. And Riot has been clean when it comes to this objective, but denied of it here. finding one, but that's it. A one and done. As it'll be Drip to find the refrag back and give a good round over to the Make-A-Wish side to end things off at halftime 4-2.
I think they can be happy with that. An inverse of the last time these two teams met here, but for Make-A-Wish's map pick, I would have liked to see a little bit more of confidence coming out on these attacks, right? And to give them credit, right? A lot of these rounds, they had very strong ideas coming into the round. It just felt like sometimes they'd start off with a little bit of plan A, and then they'd add in a little bit of plan B, and then they'd chuck in like this spicy ingredient on the side, and they didn't quite mesh well together, and that would give opportunities for Wildcard Aces to find picks back, and there was a little bit of, just a little bit too slow for Make-A-Wish to go from part 1 to part 2. I think if we can see them shore that up, that'd be quite nice. But now they come onto the defensive end of things, and already kind of a slightly different approach to things, right? Silent grabbing that Warden, brilliant just for getting around flashbangs, smoke grenades especially, that Yin counter always great. But more importantly, you get the MPX with the 1.5, you get a Nitro Cell. Just a very nice flexible operator to be able to play with. But the thing that interests me the most is this Mozzie and Echo combination. That is a lot of information that Make-A-Wish will be able to gather for themselves while denying drones to the attack. If they can successfully pull this off, and kicks on this Mozzie, something that on the attacking side, you need to make sure that you are using your drones efficiently to pin him down early into rounds so that you don't end up in these situations where he's given opportunities to flank, to come up behind you, to come in the side, and collect kills and disappear again before you even know what's happened to you.
His role here is more than just being a Houdini disappearing act. It's also a responsibility of having that Nitro Cell work in towards a later stage of the round. We highlighted the piano play from underneath to deny that vault door. We highlighted just how important it is to have a ace up your sleeve, would be the phrase that I would say, and it made more sense when it was the wildcard aces in the first half. Now with Make-A-Wish on that hand, I like the idea that they've changed things up highly. The Mozzie, the Echo, the Yokai drone, the smoke finally being brought out on the board, something that the wildcard aces just didn't want to utilize previously, you know, to each their own. It obviously worked out for them going 4-2 at that halftime. But it's just another matter of fact that there's a lot of key components here that Make-A-Wish have, but a lot of it can just be denied by a lot of the destructive utility that wildcard aces are bringing on the board. They had 4 nades coming into this round. They have breaching rounds, and they have the Zofia lifeline for the impact rounds. It just seems like the wildcard aces are bringing so much available to them that a lot of those shields, a lot of the util, like the Yokais, or having to deal with the magnets, can just be burned away quickly, and it allows for wildcard aces, when they want to push out, to do so effectively.
Well, with a bit of an opening in towards site up here, Butters is looking to challenge it, but has to be a little bit careful. Obviously, on that smoke roll, you don't want to die too early on. Kiru, though, able to find the first pick, and it's been quite a slow round, right? There's a bit of movement from the wildcard aces setting themselves up, finally find Silent, and now are looking to try and start to move over towards taking this main stairs control away, but a lot has been invested by Make-A-Wish. Vertical holes, maxily supported by magnets and ADSs. It's going to take more than just a gunfight to clear out this position. The amount of support, the amount of these, just these holes, are going to be such a pain, but they are going to try and brute force it, walking up, losing Bright immediately. The Yokai coming in, doing wonders for Maxley, who's trying to make it a triple, will eventually be shut down as both Kiru and JJ get picks on the board. Drip trading out the Zofia, dropping that case inside of Study as well. Kiru is in position to pick that up. Bino taking a little bit of damage and will now be a little bit more cautious of the angle from behind the bar. Butters popping a Toxic Babe to buy himself just a little bit of time there, though, Inferno. Giro's just swinging for it!
No! Giro had the light at the end of the tunnel, and unfortunately sees the wrong end. A 1v1 now forced by Bino. It's Butters off. Bino now swinging in towards Vault, sees the barrel of the gun, just has to swing for the kill, finds it! Drip off the board! And the wildcard aces will clutch up in the final 2 seconds of this first attacking round for them. Make-A-Wish put up a huge fight, but couldn't keep them at bay once they forced the matter at hand. 2 players through main stairs. Yes, they were dealt with, but you gotta be worried about Veranda as well. And what a flick to find that kill from your Zofia. A much-needed frag. And yes, Make-A-Wish find 2 more quickly afterwards, but the damage has been done. Just wish we saw more from Kiro sneaking in through that Toxic Bay.
I mean, that's fair play, right? If you can brute force it, if it's not being watched properly, and you can walk in study door to catch Max Lee on that crossfire, I mean, you get that control. You can start to play from these positions, and yes, he gets traded out for it, but that was the hardest part for the team to break. You had Butters providing support to the staircase. When Max Lee backed off, you have to go for it, and they committed to it. They doubled down, and it paid off for them to put them in that 2 versus 2 position. And I mean, okay, we can say what you want. The turnaround from Butters to make sure Kiru didn't get the kill there was incredible timing. It was lovely to see. A little bit of siege tomfoolery, but still to then close out the round as well. Just fantastic work, and Wildcard Aces just continuing to accelerate this lead is brilliant for them. Kicks trying to get something back early into the next round with a run out isn't going to pay off for him. Not on a long enough angle to be caught out by the shots from Kiru. Nice attempt if it was the other window. It did commit to the barricade, so could have helped him a little bit. But JJ's immediately gone and spot on another run out. Make-A-Wish just kind of throwing caution to the wind here, Inferno. Just going for whatever they can think of here to just try and get a pick early on into the round, to try and slow down Wildcard Aces and just kind of force them to take a back seat in the round for a bit.
Despite the attempted run out, it still maintains an even 5-on-5. Max Lee being droned out very effectively from multiple angles. In fact, 2 drones were seemingly coming in from that closet side. It is drip off screen to deal the first impactful frag here in this round, with only 50 seconds having dissipated away. Kiru off the board, and while they were on the Nook initially and in that last round, they repick over towards the Ashen. Wildcard Aces seemingly were trying to change up the strategy ever so slightly, trying to burn away as much util and keep those players back. They only have magnets to burn, and because of that, the Wildcard Aces will just send 6 flashes in, use that as a way to blind out the competition of Make-A-Wish and zone them away from some of these door frames and chokeholds that are being so effectively there for them, and it's just not working. Silent finds yet another pick, takes down Bry. A 2-man disadvantage now in favor of Make-A-Wish. And look what Kix is doing. A bit of that own Bry medicine, swinging in through the closet. Barely escapes with their life as the player was shooting through that bathroom window. But it's just all too late. It seems like the Wildcard Aces are going to trickle in one by one and lose their life back to back after each other.
And this is what happens, right? When Azami's left up and the Flores is banned away and you're trying to push through a part of a map which historically has always been very easy for defenders to gum up with utility. This is the classic, you grab the Wamai, you grab the Jaeger. You don't need the Jaeger anymore because you just have so much more explosives available that it just takes forever to peel through it, and it burns up all your utility anyway. 45 seconds here, and with Bino injured in a position which is realistically going to be unrecoverable. What do you go for here? Do you just go for a rotate and they're just going to try and buy time on the roof? It looks like that's the play. I can kind of respect you, right? You effectively get a mini timeout, an extra one if you need it later on. They're at this 5-2 position. If they can win the next attack, that should be the focus here. You just think 20 seconds to figure out how we're going to attack into the basement, or not the basement, into kitchen dining. That's a pretty solid foundation to be on here for Wildcard Aces.
10 seconds to go.
I like that Riot just steps up to the rooftop and hangs out for a little bit. Tactical timeout without actually needing to call a timeout. You have seen at least 2 objectives. So you're saying, hey, we can talk things through without needing to waste and burn our timeout. And the Wildcard Aces very well may need that timeout. Considering how much trouble was caused by them in this round, they may have to see this objective again. And Make-A-Wish, thankfully, for the Wildcard Aces side, can't replay that site for a little while. They're going to go ahead and choose to go down to the first floor towards dining and kitchen, not attempting lanes and games once again after that wild card clutch up in that first round of the second half. We're going back to the basement without being the basement. Let's see if the Wildcard Aces take control of Pantry through that stairwell before, like we saw the Make-A-Wish side did, or if they're going to go for a top-down approach, which I can only expect. It wasn't for the fact that Bino was on the glass. Okay, I think they'll go top down. They're changing things up so slightly. Maybe we're going to go in for that pantry window and then take that breach and then work a denial from there. Just an interesting strategy. But look at what Make-A-Wish are bringing to the table. Very much so a heavy extension to that second floor. And I predict that it'll more likely than not stay for at least the first 45 seconds.
I mean, I'd expect them to stay longer than that, to be honest. I think Make-A-Wish are going to rat out on the top floor, and the immediate lineup coming through with no Sledge, no Buck. I don't think Wildcard Aces are actually going to try and challenge them for it. There's not really enough in the lineup to make me feel like you're going to get true value out of doing so. Instead, go for that horizontal, try and break your way in towards Memorial and try and play it that way. And I think they might have a little bit better success with that. You've got Kiru on this Nook once again, who's just going to be able to find themselves in some very awkward positions, coming through the basement if you need to, with the pantry staircase. Always a very viable rotation later on into rounds if you haven't touched it before. But immediately they are going to be checking out the top floor. They are going to try and clear out at least towards main stairs to make sure that there's no one behind Riot when he jumps in through this window. If they try to look for these aggressive plays on towards Library. Maxley shooting out the drone and falling back, and they do buy a lot of time with that action right in front of it, because there's no one nearby to move in on that drone. They're going to have to re-drone it, take this time, and he's going to be gone.
Hastily made retreats. Maybe it's done fast enough. Hero, though, working in towards Library. Has her drone following up in front of them. Player not far between Maxley in living room and a player behind them as well, maybe closer towards Mimo. Their cap can of Butters. Maxley is waiting for the perfect time. What a drop! Takes down Kiru. Loses the majority of their life in the process, but the damage has been done. Cutting down such a huge player like Kiru on that Nook denies a lot of pressure from the Wildcard Aces. Fortunately, Riot's still on the board, and Riot had a field day in that first half. They're now sitting 11-4. While they may have been a little bit slower here when it comes to the second. Don't let a boulder rolling down the hill continue its momentum and get harder and harder to stop. But for the Wildcard Aces, they just need to collect 2 more rounds here and there, and they just need to make sure that Make-A-Wish don't get away with some of these free kills early. They've got to try to deal with Kix, who just finds a free kill onto Bright, just re-swings without having the gun up, and because of that, Wildcard Aces are a 2-man disadvantage.
I mean, like I said, right, Make-A-Wish is going to sit there. And with very little happening for Wildcard Aces, right, they're slowly moving through different parts of the map, now looking to try and apply that pressure onto pantry stairs. JJ taking some damage, still fighting over piano. There is no consistent effort from Wildcard Aces here, and Maxley gonna get a team kill in here. Riot immediately pounces and catches out Drip, which is massive for their chance in this round. Everything has completely swung off of this team kill. Riot makes it 2. Kixro injured outside is able to shut down Bino before the kill can be secured, but they are spread out now, and it's a 1 versus 2 effectively because you can't get the pickup. And Riot, just from pantry, gets a triple kill and wins the round.
Where's the call out?
That shouldn't be allowed to happen. The call-out's one thing. I'm sure that they have the information there, but you got to pick the fight, right? You got to go for one of them as silent in that position. You can't just sit in China waiting for something to happen. But the real question is, what are the rest of your team doing? I was just about to say, Wildcard looked uninspired in that last round. It felt like they were just kind of walking around the map until something fell in their way. And you know what? I guess it happens, right? It's like shiny hunting in Pokemon. You have to do the same thing 1,000 times, but once, it's just going to work out for you. There's just the little shiny one. I don't play Pokemon. I just have a friend who's a shiny collector. So I just had a friend yelling at me about how frustrating it was trying to find shinies walking around in a grass bush for 5 hours on straight. So that's my Pokemon knowledge there. But you know what I mean? Like, he's just standing there. The team kill comes through. He then gets gifted with a freebie because they're confused about the team kill. The second guy fails on a flank. And the silence there, like, guys, come on. We were in a 5 versus 3. Wildcard Aces have nothing around the site. They have nothing to do. That is a botched job from Make-A-Wish if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, it's a horrible, horrible round result to come out for Make-A-Wish. The Wildcard Aces will now reach match point 6-3. They'll need to double their round count to tie things up and possibly lead us over into overtime. Let's remember what happened last time. We saw this objective of choice here for playing the games. It was a round win for the Wildcard Aces. Though a close one, still a round win nonetheless. Window towards astronomy has been breached. Pouring out from that last round. Triple kill from within pantry. Where's the communication? You only have 1 sub. Make-A-Wish are working with Drip, who's not on their mainstay roster. Everyone else is, as far as I'm aware, is. That would maybe be a reason, but it shouldn't have been a reason. You still are all in the same call. You're still all able to communicate. A player in pantry. They look towards it, but you just lose that gunfight. Start pre-firing. Start spraying. Take shots first. You have so many rounds still available and time is limited for the Wildcard Aces. Take your chances. You're already out in the open in no man's land. It's going to cost you. Naxley, though, speaking of being costed, their life off the board early, and you lose a Warden, you lose the Gamer Shades, and that is a lot of potential flashes that could be sent in for the Wildcard Aces that now everyone is potentially being able to be victimized from.
Selma's popping already towards the study walls again, going towards this main stairs, and there isn't as much invested by Make-A-Wish to support Silent in this position as when Maxley was on it before, walking up the stairs. They force out the trade. Brilliant job from Wildcard Aces to take that ground, maintain man-count advantage. And now, the first Toxic Babe forced to be popped from Butters. They can start to just look on in towards the site, try and find gunfights on these longer angles. The flank coming through. Brian, he wasn't looking at his screen. Bino is able to get the pick onto Drip to maintain that advantage, though. Still aware of the flank, opening up the wall, exposing Bar now, and trading out Butters. A 1 versus 2 for Kicks to save the map.
Standing on maps. I'm about saving the map. They're holding maps from this point. Sitting inside Aviation, Bino will go and start planting that diffuser behind Bar. Covering fire slightly there, just set up for a cross from that veranda side, but Bino will stick that plant as the teammate of JJ will fall, but it is Bino to stand up and take matters into their own hands. Not the regressor, but the aggressor. Setting up the Wildcard Aces to be a positive team. Now exiting the first map here, Villa, which, might I add, was the Make-A-Wish team in map pick. A very unfortunate result for them in the end, but a lot of that map was greatly assisted by Riot in that first half. If there was an MVP to call out, and it wasn't just the one we saw, the little highlight intro right there, it is for sure Riot on that defensive half. Huge 3K after 3K, 4Ks. It just seemed like Riot was a player that no matter what was thrown at them defensively, could come out with very important kills to even the odds.
I would also like to point out that I think Bino won 3 1vx's in that. It might have even been 4, but there was definitely 3 in there. And I mean, again, Make-A-Wish, it had rounds where they looked good, but they would sometimes just find ways to lose. We're not going to go back over that kitchen round because, quite frankly, I don't want to get PTSD. But I think Wildcard, just again, across the number of rounds that we saw, looked like the more consistent. They just kind of had a better idea of what they wanted to do, and there were a couple lapses in judgment. I think the biggest thing for me that really was hurting them on their attacks was just being very slow to drone when they needed to clear space. The rounds that they looked really comfortable in, the rounds where they start right up against the defensive position, where the first step is walk up main stairs, or apply that pressure underneath, they were brilliant, because they don't need to invest a ton of time droning. Instead, they can play to their strength, which is just peeking together and getting in the face of their opponent.
And one of the things we noted as well that was coming out from the Wildcard Aces was some of those rounds just should not have gone their way. I'll bring up the kitchen round, right? I won't harp on it too long, but it's another engagement where Make-A-Wish have the advantage, and they should have just won it out, not to trigger your PTSD here from that round. We saw it in round 1. They get first blood, but they can't further that point, and Make-A-Wish get torn apart in round 1. Same thing for Mish every round. The entries were really there for Make-A-Wish. They had a really good job of keeping them at bay. I was honestly scared, though, how effective the Wildcard Aces were with their ability to return fire and somehow even things back. That one play we saw coming out here from that statuary and trophy side defensively for Make-A-Wish, their 3rd round win, was going to somehow turn the other way. Thankfully, did not, and they got a much-deserved 3rd round win. But all the other ones could have been flipped the other way. They just failed to capitalize, and they paid the price because of it. But that'll be it here for this first map. We're going to take a quick break between map 1 and map 2. We'll be back with some stats and more when this second one's ready to get underway.
Whew. Oh, indeed. We are back after our break, getting ready for map number 2 of Make-A-Wish, taking on Wildcard Aces. The replays from the map number 1 that we just witnessed, a 7-3 win coming in here for Wildcard Aces on Make-A-Wish's map pick. Like, Inferno, I'm no expert, but generally, don't you want to win your own map pick?
I'm not an expert either. I don't know why you would throw that at me. But yes, yeah, I would assume that you would like to, if you're going to pick the dang map, I'd assume that you'd like to win it as well.
That wasn't the case. So now, Make-A-Wish in one of these positions, where there's a bit of an uphill battle for them to pull this one back. And using the stats here from our first game, we were saying this, Riot, you'd expect him to be in that high rating, 14 kills, 5 deaths. He was 9-1 at one point. Absolute machine on the defenses of that game. Maxily, though, sort of sneaking up. 19 kills. No. The kill spread coming out from the side of Make-A-Wish does not seem that bad. And it shows that a lot of these rounds, even the ones Wildcard were winning, we're still kind of cutting it close. A lot of 1vx's. I don't know. Rounds could have gone the other way.
Personally, you look at the scoreboard and you say, wow, Make-A-Wish, statistically, in terms of kills and just prowess, very well could have won that game. But the difference maker was just Bino with those saves in the 1vx's, Riot's ability to clutch up big 3Ks in the defensive rounds, like we had highlighted before we entered into the break. There was a lot there. There was so much there for Make-A-Wish that just didn't end the way they wanted to. And that's something that now we head over to, fortunately for them, Wildcard Aces map pick of Chalet, my favorite map in all of R6. And statistically, you try to win your map pick, and did that go through for Wildcard Aces? Guess who's not going through any longer in the SFCL Season 6? It'll be the Make-A-Wish side, and that'll be a very unfortunate happenstance for them. Chalet coming up, what do you predict our veto phase will look like? We saw Flores go banned, but Azami didn't. Will that repeat here on this map?
This is one of those ones where Wildcard are going to come out with another Dokkaebi ban. They love this Dokkaebi ban. They like to ban Azami as well. The last 2 times they've played Chalet, the Azami is what's gone. So I'm leaning towards that. But, on the flip side of things, with Make-A-Wish loving this Flores ban, if the Flores ban comes through, then I think they have to ban the Azami, starting on the attack. So I just see the ban phase being Flores here, Dokkaebi, Azami, probably Mirror. If I was a betting man, those would be my 4 that I'd lock in.
Flores has been banned, first and foremost, that by the Make-A-Wish side. The Wildcard Aces will now get to test their luck, so to say, choosing their attacking ban and getting to pick the first defensive one. Their attacking ban will be that Dokkaebi. You highlighted how effective the Dokkaebi ban has been and just how consistently it's been banned out. Let's keep in mind, I mentioned before, Azami having been left unbanned created a lot of problems for Wildcard Aces, specifically on Villa, when it came to the master bedroom push. The one round they lost when it came to their attack. They struggled the most with, is what I'll say, before finally being able to clue things out in a 6-3 fashion. It is, in fact, going to be banned down in a smart decision for the Wildcard Aces, especially when they're starting off on the attack. They don't want to take a huge loss early. They want to try to keep things even before they transition to the defense.
Oh, it might be a Solace ban, actually, as well.
Could be.
That's
Valkyrie, Solus.
I think it's be the Mirror or the Solace. One of those two. We'll stick with the guns. We'll go Mirror. Let's see it. Let's see it. Make-A-Wish. Make it 4 for 4. Oh,
Yes.
oh, beautiful stuff. I don't know. I'm impartial to the Mirror ban here. I think Chalet has a couple sites that really benefit from it, and I'd expect Wildcard Aces. They're one of these teams that will run and lean into it when it's available. So I respect the ban coming out. Could take it or leave it, but I like it here. And in this specific example, bit of a fan. The Carly coming out already from Bino. Interesting. There's obviously the tower that people will sit in with Carly. If you do this in my ranked games, I'll probably hate you. because you sit in one position and do nothing for about 3 minutes, and then we lose on time, and then we lose on time. But if you play it more actively, in a sort of Thatcher-esque way, I get it. I can see the use for it here. It also gets past castle barricades, which Butters is bringing. You can use that lance for that. So you've got a little bit of variety in how you use these lance charges. But immediately, this is what you expect to see on a dining kitchen hold. You go upstairs above, you're reinforcing, and you're playing to stall out as much time as humanly possible on the floor above, so that there isn't enough time to get good reach access, get good verticality established down into dining, into kitchen, so that the time is left in such a low, vulnerable position. When they commit to an execute, you can catch them out with smoke grenades, not available here, but more importantly, nitro cells.
Wildcard Aces. Mind this is their map pick. Take things a little bit slower here for their initial push through. The mirror that we highlighted getting banned is exceptionally powerful when it comes to kitchen and dining, because you typically start to extend to that second floor and you'll play from there. And it's also makes it so that the black mirror cannot be used against the defense on a post plant when they have to retake their own objective, because the objective's on the first floor. They don't have to re-swing it when it comes to that office wall connecting towards that Ivy Hall. So there are some boons to its success. However, it doesn't seem to help Make-A-Wish. It's been banned. They don't even get to use it, and Butters is off the board. That's a big loss. The Wildcard Aces finding first blood from the hands of Bina. And on top of that, they still got 3 nades in total left for the attack. And they've already cleared out a big point of emphasis for this second floor, as they'll start to swing in towards Solarium. JJ somehow survives, but the cutoff pulled in from that highway window from the bathroom side still finds the refrag back. Bribe for one more 3-go window, but no more after that, as Maxley will find themselves on the big pickup, but it's still positive only for the Wildcard Aces.
Yeah, now drones coming through, able to get in position to spy out the mute, and with the top floor droned and cleared out, they will have a good idea that Maxley has dropped down. They can start to move in, take this space in Solarium and Trophy, and look for their approach in towards the site. Plenty of time. Still 6 drones on the table for them to use as well, so things looking very good here for the side of the Wildcard Aces, especially if the Sledge can continue to apply the vertical pressure and just try and bait out some movement from Make-A-Wish. If they can catch them out on some of these longer sightlines established by Make-A-Wish, that would be fantastic.
Still have nades as well in the pocket here for Riot, which means players trying to hide behind maybe Planter will not be allowed to do so. Could force them out very quickly. Notice how agile and mobile the Make-A-Wish side has really been. Kickstro is playing in towards Kitchen Hall, moving over towards the Solarium elbow stairs, and a spot one, but unfortunately the Mossberg doesn't seem to have that range to deal with Kiru, and they'll fall victim to the AR instead, leaving only Maxley here on the defense, full HP, but Nitrocell nowhere to be seen. That MPX is strong, but got to get the upper hand with surprise elements, and they'll do so effectively here for one. Onto Kiru, hunting for the second right as low HP, still has an 8, can swing that corner with it alongside it, but a player has to swing in through main. It will be reliant on Bino. Bino is going to have to swing this after the fact. Maxley was forced away from the staircase, but where's the pressure? No cutoff angle is held. No one was there to direct clear Maxley, and they'll survive for a few seconds longer than they should have, but finally will come the kill. And it will fall in favor of the Wildcard Aces for round 1.
If it works, right? Wildcard Aces done a great job at the start of that round, just to find these opening picks. Bry, great pressure from the balcony, just to catch off a quick double kill, right? You just not expect him to be sat there so patiently for so long, and you take an aggressive stance, trying to contest and push back this attack in Solarium, caught off immediately, turn around, grab a double. Great stuff from the Wildcard Aces to be working as a team just to sort of funnel these defenders into these positions. And then, look, a little bit of a cat and mouse game there, a little bit goofy at the end, but it worked out for them, right? Using the nades to just force off this Valkyrie, force them downstairs, you can start to push on in, and you basically just make that space gradually smaller and smaller until you're kind of forced to take a gunfight. You get it out, and they win the round. Make-A-Wish now, are going to go back to the same site, though. This will be the first time this evening that we have seen a team return to a site they previously played back-to-back. Because every time on Villa, we just saw them continue the rotations.
I'm a big fan of being able to switch up the objective and always playing a different one, but when it comes to kitchen and dining, I truly do believe this is one of the few objectives you can play back-to-back after a first-round loss, and be able to pull out something for the second. One of the few ones that I will really give that little bit of an edge towards. It's just such a difficult objective for attacking teams to deal with because you still have to play that second floor as if it was the bedroom and office objective.
Yeah.
But you have leeway for the fallback. You have an escape route. You have an ability to drop down. Kind of like kitchen and dining when it came to Villa. It's slightly different. It is still a kitchen and dining in its own regard.
Yeah.
So, for the side here of Make-A-Wish, they're going to be very wary of that Python strategy, that constricting strategy we highlighted. They slither in through that second floor, find big picks using that highway window, that bathroom window leading over towards Ego window as well, and also deal with the fact that they can slowly close out that space, constrict the opening availability for Make-A-Wish down on that first floor. May have to be quite wary of the fact that, look at the aggression coming out from Make-A-Wish, no longer just hiding about inside the bathroom. They're taking aggressive stances in towards bedroom as well, which will force the hand of the Wildcard Aces to actually breach out with the Abada pellets. The wall connecting here towards Master Bedroom to maybe give them a chance here on Maxley, who is trapped inside Closet.
Well, another early pick going in favor of the Wildcard Aces as Drip goes down. Kix takes a lot of damage and is still kind of isolated here on the staircase. The Name able to find him out from Bino. So fantastic bit of clearance work from the Wildcard Aces to get 2 early picks. Pressure on the top floor, and they can start their sweep out. Still 2 members up above, Silent and Maxley, who they will be hunting down. Although it looks like, oh, both of them still rocking around inside of office. The drone information, there's plenty available, should be coming through here to make sure they minimize their risks. Don't give up anything for free. Bride gets Maxley, who's trying to rotate around in the corridor behind to give them wider support. Silent takes a swing and grabs one onto JJ, but immediately met by Riot. Great stuff to see from Wildcard Aces. Again, just continuing to bank more in, get these kills, hold on to them very well, forces Butters to go for an aggressive play to try and do something. You're in a 1 versus 4, mate. There's not much to do. Might as well try and play for a kill, try and find something. You don't able to do so. You get caught off, you get shut down. And Wildcard Aces just... I thought the first round looked good. That was a stunning second round.
I was going to mention, I talked about how that's one of the only objectives I can really warrant seeing twice in a row, and Make-A-Wish did worse. They performed less than half of their true capability. They didn't get better. It only went downhill, and the Wildcard Aces were the team that continue the upward momentum, not just in terms of how well they play, because they did play spectacular in that last round, as well as playing well in the first one for sure. Now they get to use that momentum and try a new objective. Finally, something new brought out for the Make-A-Wish side. It will be down in the basement. Wildcard Aces, from their lineup we see right now, more likely than not seeing JJ actually go for that switch over to the exothermic charges. It'll be a big breach through the garage side, creating an opening and forcing Make-A-Wish to actively defend it. But I also expect to see the X-Kairos pellets be sent in towards big garage's wall, connecting towards that A side. Likely clear out maintenance or boiler to really make sure that Make-A-Wish have no safety on the objective, forcing them to have an extension where the Wildcard Aces have been so darn good here, Gala, about clearing those roamers on the first and second floor.
Yeah, I think a map like Chalet, just historically and throughout the season, Wildcard Aces have liked to play Chalet, have looked good on Chalet. A little bit of a standoff here as they're looking towards the spawn team. I mean, that says all you need to know, right?
It's your Wamai.
Right domed him. Your Wamai's gone. You lose that recharging gadget. That's it's a little bit unfortunate, side of Make-A-Wish here. Not the start they would have wanted. The Cade Claw also being worked away at. No EMPs, so you're either going to rely on Bino getting one of these drones into position, or a well-placed grenade piece of utility above to try and blow it away. But this top floor clearance, again, is going to go pretty smoothly. Maxley is up inside of the little closet. Should drone him out pretty swiftly, and a little bit of pressure from the walls will actually let Kira a wall bang. Like, Chalet just leans perfectly into everything Wildcard Gaming want to do, which is get up in your face, start playing against your roamers, and I say that as 2 kills swiftly go against them here, Ferno.
It's the right setup for the Wildcard Aces, but unfortunately, with Kira and Vino attempting to actually enter into this map, they're punished by Butters and Silent. But look at the play here swiftly by Bry, finding 2! 3 kills already in the round, and a big setup by Bry. And you can feel the trash talk in the chat. It's over again. Bry continues to capitulate the point further, swinging through Snowmobile Garage and finding yet another victim at the end of their rifle. The Wildcard Aces have driven the point home. This is their map, and they have no plans to give it up to you on the other end towards Make-A-Wish. Here's that first pick by Bry. Beautiful. Was also peeking and veering towards the window that was just held there by Vino. Try and deal with that run out that could go there instead. The surprise factor that was attempted for Make-A-Wish from that window peek just wasn't surprising enough. And I think that's really indicative of how much the Wildcard Aces truly love and know this map of Chalet.
I do want to give some credit there to Make-A-Wish, right? You have this position where you lose your initial roam, you lose your Jaeger, you lose your Wamai, and you're down to the 5 versus 3. And in some positions, some teams in that position are going to shy away from their opponent. They're going to consolidate back down in the basement, they're going to wait for these pushes to come through, and they're just going to hope they don't get boxed out too hard. Make-A-Wish recognizing that isn't going to be the case with Wildcard Aces. Wildcard will take the time to make sure that you have zero comfort left, and instead the correct play here is to get up in their face and try and find a pick back. If you go down to that 5 versus 2, if it doesn't pay off, to be honest, the round, you're still going to lose it if you don't do that. If you do nothing, you're still going to lose. So take that aggressive action, go forward and try and make something happen for you. They did that, they bounced around back, but Bry just found the opening. And it's something that Bry's so good at doing. It's just being in the right place at the right time. Game sense is phenomenal, and it pays off yet again for him and his team.
It feels like the more we see in the T3 scene here, Gallo, is just aggressiveness gets warranted more and more. And I think the Wildcard Aces are just kind of aware of that. They know that Make-A-Wish are going to be a team that plays aggressive. We saw it on map 1. It was, here and there. But when the going gets tough, get tougher. And that's really an American strategy, right? Things get rough, send it back their way tenfold, right? Meet aggression with aggression. And we saw that in the last round, but unfortunately, once the aggression meets and beats, technically, they try to retreat, they get caught off by Bry. That speed, start aggressive, meet aggressive, you got beat by the second stage of aggression, though. The Wildcard Aces seemingly can always bring that upper hand, that second level that's needed to find success.
Spot out the Frostbite there. Make sure you don't want to land in that later on into the round. Scans coming through, all the utility being invested to try and make this uncomfortable on the top floor. Kicks does go down. Silent able to grab one back onto JJ, looking for a second and gets it, but trades it out with Kiru, who immediately we see Butters get another pick onto Bino. So Wildcard Aces setting themselves up, having long angles drawn, going for the pounce, met with fire from Make-A-Wish. Got to be careful, the flank, it has been pinged out, but Drip still wins it with the UMP-45. Immediately runs into the waiting arms of Riot, who's now in the 1 versus 2. Butters taking a bit of damage from that exchange with Bino, though, out on the window. Got to be careful, the vertical angle being drawn, trying to use it, trying to evade it. Takes a little bit in exchange. Nade being dropped down now here, Furno, and you're seeing a bit of a waiting game now. Right, looking to try and get into a position to spot a player out. The members of Make-A-Wish just constantly on the move.
They are also down in the basement, rotating over towards wide stairs, and working from there. Does allow a lot of safety for Riot to initially swing in towards Bar. You see that the pings are being made here for the Wildcard Aces, just trying to help their team out as best they can, but they're limited in terms of total sight lines. Only 2 drones in total, and one of those is technically Riot's. Can be controlled, but it's probably holding a cutoff for denial. They're going to go ahead and pivot up, pick up the diffuser, and maybe look towards that hatch leading over towards games. Maxley's dropped down, like I said before, towards that stairwell to the basement. Teammate over towards Mod. It's over, though, as it will finally be a Make-A-Wish side finding a round win off of the fact that just that one stairwell hold with 2 players on it was enough to send Wildcard Aces into a tough space, and then somehow Drip coming out on the upper end despite the ping being made, and Bry just can't connect the shots.
Yeah, fantastic work from Silent just to hold it down the fort as Frost for as long as possible, get the 2-piece, get traded out. That kind of stalled and bought the time that they needed for Wildcard to have to fix the lull in the assault, right? You no longer have this constant motion from Wildcard just bearing down on you. They have to set themselves up in positions again. They have to jump inside the building, get more involved with their support players, and it gives you an opportunity. Make-A-Wish now want to try and continue the ball rolling. Just get another round. You want to push for that 4-2 half at minimum, really. Look, Chalet, one of these maps which definitely is more attacker leaning, right? You see attacking teams get that 4-2 half frequently, right? but you don't want to hit this at 5-1. And I am a little bit concerned that we're going back down to Dining Kitchen, a site that has failed you twice already at this point, this map. And I think the wildcard attack was probably the best round we have seen from a team tonight. Not just on Chalet, on Villa as well. Wildcard attacking here the second time around looked clinical.
They were gorgeous. There's no other way to phrase it. I highlighted round 1 was good. Round 2 was pristine.
Exemplary.
Squeaky clean. Exemplary. Big word. Big.
Thank you.
Not an American word that I hear very often, that's for sure. The Wildcard Aces. That is, yeah. To be fair, it's a good film. Good setup. Wildcard Aces, though. Wildcard Aces, though. They're already up 3-1. 2 rounds left here in this half, and while there is a chance here for Make-A-Wish to tie things up and in the half of 3-3, I'm sure the Wildcard Aces have no plan to allow for them to do so. Objective back here on this first floor. Kitchen and dining. The Wildcard Aces were pristine, exemplary, and beautiful, aka also clinical in their execution. Surrogate attempting to be resets, and the nades sent out, but Butters can't be cleared away here going.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're actually able to sort of not capitalize on that larger gap. All 3 of Rooney's burnt out, all 3 reset now, and this initial great grenade play we saw, they've used all the stuns from JJ, they've used all the nades from Riot. Hero on the window will get a pick onto Silent anyway, and you've still got 2 more nades in the pocket of Bino. So how do they use those to clear out this position? ADS is back active again, make this a much harder proposition for them. Now you've seen Drip getting a bit cheeky here, using the Deagle to reconstruct some of this floorboard, make a couple spaces for them. Prepping the C4 as well. So good little bit of spread here from Make-A-Wish. Something which we haven't seen enough of from Emily. We've seen good moments, but this could be a great one. But he's able to walk past it.
Oh, no!
Okay.
A miracle that Bino was still within range of that, and unfortunately, Kiru strikes a moment too late to take down Drip before they rip the detonation cord of that Nitro cell. Fry, though, working from within Solarium. It seems like the second floor finally full under control here for the Wildcard Aces. Let's keep in mind, a player was down in basement. It was Maxley previously. They have pivoted back up here to the first floor, but that is Butters DB node, but it's Maxley that actually dies before Butters can be truly finished off. And look at the pressure being brought back up to the second floor. Change up the strategy, diversify the approach for the defense, but it still falls short. And speaking of falling, every player from Make-A-Wish will fall to the floorboards, dead and dusted, with the Wildcard Aces now finding their 4th, guaranteeing a positive half at least heading into round 6.
I will say that was much better than I anticipated coming into it. I think they did a good job of changing up that initial flow. They made operator adjustments, which were really wise picks. Grabbing that Aruni, making it a little bit more clogged up on Solarium. They had better cover to give options for walk-in from Ego. Nice changes from Make-A-Wish. Unfortunately, it still just kind of didn't pan out for them. Wildcard Aces still just kind of ended up in one of these, oops, we found the kills, we're just spread out well enough on Chalet, and we can kind of just move in when we need to find kills to take round away from you. So, ultimately, good attempt by Make-A-Wish, and I'm not gonna hold anything against them for that, because good changes, good adaptions, good use of coming back to a site that previously hasn't worked for you. Wildcard Aces is just still showing that they are very, very strong, attacking onto Chalet and specifically attacking onto Kitchen and Dining. And now they are going to play their last offensive round of the half by going down to the basement once again. And this is a bit of an interesting one. They've invested a lot less utility upstairs. They're no longer playing so heavily for library control. They're going for an early spawn peak, which pays off beautifully for them. You catch the Thatcher as well. That's delicious.
You have no way to breach now. You didn't bring pocket EMPs. Where are the pocket EMPs for the Wildcard Aces? There's always the chance your Thatcher dies. No matter what you do, things can and always will be slightly out of your control. Can't always keep things close to the chest. No pocket EMPs means no breachy or that big snowmobile garage wall. It's very unfortunate for the Wildcard Aces. They'll have to change things up and take that second, then that first, and then work downwards, which is where Make-A-Wish found themselves winning the last time we saw this point really get brought underway and see that kind of extension. They'll defend it like they defended the first, is what I'm getting at. If that works, it works. The Wildcard Aces have a man disadvantage, Agali.
I like this as well. They've got a Nitro Cell pre-play, so that when JJ walks in, it is Drip on the cameras, though. Someone else needs to be on that camera so that Drip can set it off immediately when they walk on the spot. But so far, this pressure from the top floor, Riot using the breaching charges to open up some of these vertical angles that you'd want to be seen. Still need to find a way to get past the Cade Claw, though, and that is the joys of taking out Kiru early on. You've got the Twitch, you can try and get the job done, but Max H walks up the west main stairs, grabs the pick onto Riot. Silent adds to his tally by taking down Bry as well. Again, looking to get upstairs and aggressive. Finds himself a triple. They have the pings coming through. JJ's rotated off, though. Moving away, but he's in a 1 versus 5 here, Ferno. A 1v5!
It's not doable. This was round 5, round 4. They could be considered a tactical timeout. But what are you going to make in a timeout here by slowing things down for the Wildcard Aces? This is the last round of this first half anyways. It's not going to change the go-to factor at hand. JJ, though, working in from the library staircase, pivoting over towards Blue Hall. I'm scared that there could be black-eyed cameras currently spotting them. I think there currently was, though, and that will give plenty of information over towards Eddie, who will just swing their way over. Silent to find that final pickup. And Make-A-Wish will at least take 2, but it's still a positive half performance with Wildcard Aces. And I mentioned it earlier, NA tends to lag behind to the rest of the scene when it comes to how maps will turn out, defensively favorited or attacker favored. What a shot there by Max, they might I add. Chalet was always attacker favored for NA until it wasn't. It's falling a little bit more towards defensive, just a little bit. It's really close to 50-50 for the NA scene. It is truly still a toss-up. The Wildcard Aces closed out map 1 very well with a 4-2 splits. You can only imagine they're capable of doing the same thing here.
I feel like you're just begging me to make an EU greater than an NA joke. I mean, it's not really a joke, is it? You'll know it's a fact, but I'll refrain from making one. I won't bring it up today. Instead, we'll jump straight into the second half here. Wildcard Aces now on the defense, and immediately one very noticeable change. Riot. He's grabbing our favorite speedy boy, Rima dashing Oryx, and Oryx is one that I'm always a bit intrigued by. Recently, in the most recent patch, losing access to that 1.5 does kind of make that T5 a little less juicy. Still a very lovely gun, as any Elysian player will tell you. So it will be interesting to see how that kind of changes things, but still the ability to move around so quickly on Chalet, very nice. A couple key hatches that you might want to jump up, also very nice. But it will be interesting to see how they get the value out of this for just trying to avoid the gaze of Make-A-Wish on this roam clear.
Look how much they've opened up this wall as well, leading over towards library. No mezzanine hold. This is a very interesting defense coming out here. The Wildcard Aces, yes, they aren't going to hold mezzanine actively, and they're not defending, bar and game, so they don't necessarily have to hold up there. But the shield placed in the door frame leading to piano, where typically you would just give up that position and play a shield on piano itself, it's an interesting change-up for the side here of Wildcard Aces. In fact, there is no shield on piano. Kiru is going to have to straight up hold this directly. And they don't have a great ability to hold behind that shield they did previously because they left that hole open. Leading into office here from Ivy Hall. And it's already been breached open from Big Window on that mezzanine side. Make-A-Wish have denied that apex front behind that shield in Ivy Hall and made it useless. So that shield just doesn't find the impact it was meant to do. But I'll tell you who does. It's JJ with the long shot. Silent. Their name fits here. They're dead.
Yeah, it's an interesting hold coming out from Wildcard Aces, right? Because it's playing this top floor, obviously with the intention of dropping down later on, but rather than bunkering it up too much, they've very much extended it. Trying to just encourage Make-A-Wish to take a gunfight so they can win it out. The Inja coming through on the run out, going to be killed with the hammer, but it's Riot to get another pick here onto Drip. We take down the Ace who was trying to apply pressure towards Solarium, and now that has kind of been shut down and dealt with. Now Kix is going to jump on in, try and continue the rest of this sweep, but there are no wildcard places in sight. They have all dropped a little bit away. They're all playing a little bit more of a safe position here, Furno, just waiting now for this timer to continue to tick as Kix walks up and immediately bitten in the back.
Maxley clears with a frost mat placed inside of bathroom. Note that the Wildcard Aces have made a hasty retreat away from that second floor, and it has, well, greatly assisted them. They do take quite a lot of shots pelted towards them. It is JJ, though, to finish the job. Butters isolates one, but it's still too little too late. Riot, hiding within Trophy, knows exactly where they need to play. They'll walk up from that stairwell and right to their loving arms. And it'll be the Wildcard Aces to take their 5th. They're etching closer and closer to match point, series point here, and then the eventual win should things continue their way. But starting off the first round of the half with a win like that, much like they did on Villa, a lot cleaner though. That Villa one was a very close engagement. It was a 2v1 that ended up going Wildcard's way, and they were the one in that way. A much cleaner way than they did, and this was a really, really strong defensive hold for the Wildcard Aces. Make-A-Wish are going to have a lot of trouble on their hands, and they're going to have to push over here towards Billiards and Bar.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Now, we're going to see how they do this. Right, grabbing that shield on the top of Ivy. Very classic. Last round, we saw them open up a lot of this wall because they wanted to play the longer angles from far back, and there is an option to do that when defending inside a library, right? You play in the back corner, they've got the top of Riot, and you know, when we saw that change, now you get the 200 HP stim boost. Effectively just means you go to full HP plus overstim unless you're on like 1. Generally, you get the full heal plus full overheal. That was amazing for living through things like the Capital bolts that were coming through. When you get injured out by a nade and pick yourself back up again, Hero goes for a run out. Nice little attempt. Takes a lot of damage onto Silent, but a bit of bouncy at the Activity 5. Couldn't quite finish off the meal, and instead is going to be down pretty early out on this round.
The all-you-can-eat buffet that was Silent, unfortunately, sours. Way past its due date, apparently. Who set it out there? Who knows? Poor business practices, that's for sure. But speaking of poor practices, with the loss there, Kiru early, it'd be a little bit harder for the Wildcard Aces to defend. Note how much pressure's already been inside of Library. It's Kix to step in quickly and deal with one. Finally refragged back by Riot, but that was control in space that should not have been given over to Make-A-Wish this early. Losing those 2 players, I can give up Kiru on the run out, but Bry, when they should have been covered, is inexcusable. And now Riot's gonna have to make up for that space. Let's keep in mind how amazing they were on Villa defensively. They're gonna have to perform at or above the same level here.
Well, getting good value out of these overstims to try and take these gunfights, but it isn't gonna matter in the end. The angle drawn from Silent, and now this 2 versus 4 situation, they're trying to go for the retake above, but that's not where the majority of this threat is anymore. JJ on the flank behind, gonna be caught out by the scam. The ping's coming through, so they know, but he's not aware that the look was just around the cabinet. The drop down does net him the kill onto Butters. Takes a swing to try and get a second and gets it as well. Fantastic work here from the Wildcard Aces, from Bino to shut down this push. Silent on the window though, looking to move back in, get back and recover that diffuser here. Fono just going to drop the Gemini in first though, to make sure everything is safe and sound before they move. Actually inside of Bar, kind of locking down the rotation here. Both of Wildcard members creeping together up towards main.
The weirdest retake of their own objective. They completely gave up both sites. And now Make-A-Wish, they're just so scared. They have no idea where is safe to plant, where is safe to control. Because of that, Wildcard Aces have a theoretical advantage. Vito will be the first player to engage in a duel. Nade will be sent out after the fact. Seems like just a relegator, trying to keep them at bay. He'll tap down to the diffuser for an area moment, just trying to once again force a run out, but it's still too little too late. Bino will fall. Thankfully, JJ still at full HP. Silent, though, surviving the initial run out has given them 3 kills in this round. Something inexcusable for Kiru, who did not want to let that occur. And despite JJ having full HP and Maxley having near to none, you can't hit the shots. And they'll pay the price because of it. No clutch gene, Maxley says. That may be aptly fitting here. The Wildcard Aces will give up a round to Make-A-Wish, and they'll climb to 3 to maybe try to get themselves back into this series.
You get deja vu as well here, Ferno.
It really is. Yeah, it's the exact same thing we saw before on Villa.
Bit of a, hey, I think I've seen this one before, but...
What do you mean? It's brand new.
Make-A-Wish doing a better job in that round, right? And look, they get the good opening pick early on from the run out. Sure, you take it.
Attackers need to locate
You get
and
a
defuse
weird
any
little
bombs
sneak
they
through
find.
library when it just isn't kind of being paid attention to. Again, if you get these opportunities, you should take them. That's what wins rounds, right? If you win, if you get 2 good opening picks because of chaotic siege things, or sometimes not quite so chaotic, but more so question mark siege things, that adds up, right? You play 10 rounds in a 7-3 game, right? That was our Villa. If you win 2 of those rounds because of random siege things, it happened for Wildcard Aces, right? They got a random round win because they decided that in a 2 versus 5 they didn't want to win.
Seconds left.
You take those rounds when they come your way. It adds up, and in series, the longer a series goes, the more rounds, the more pulls you can make from that situation, the better. They recovered from that 4v2, it gets down to the 2 versus 2, they keep it keen, they play it out slowly just to make sure they're not going to give up any more space to the Wildcard Aces, and they close out the round. And I want to see that sort of composure in the end there, just carry through. They didn't rush to make a play, they didn't overcommit to something without information in the 2 versus 2, instead they waited. They used what utility they had to put themselves in the best possible position. And that is something that we haven't seen enough from the Make-A-Wish side, in my opinion.
Keep in mind, the Wildcard Aces were the favorite team heading into this in the first place. Highlighted just how good they were as a program, just as a team in general. It doesn't mean that they were guaranteed to win.
No.
Make-A-Wish still have that dog in them, and it's just a matter of finding that bark and turning it into a bite. Because right now, they've just been yapping at the shoulders of the Wildcard Aces, and well, they got headphones on. It's a little bit hard to hear past that. The Wildcard Aces have not had too big of a problem dealing with them. And in fact, first blood. Right, taking down Maxley. Silent DB&O to the entry in through that breach they created in Garage falls apart at the seams. And now Make-A-Wish have lost all that pressure brewing up from the south end, and will have to change things up and pivot over towards the north, towards bigger Garage and more in towards that wine side. They already have control of kicks in sight. Too much noise made by Bry, and a pre-swing and fire from Kickstro will net them an even frag.
Well, the Fuser going down now amidst the smoke as man, Butters just overcommits to the push. Kiru cuts him down. Now Kicks has to sort of try and cover for this. They're actually back off of the fuse as well. It was halfway done, and there's no real movement coming from Wildcard Aces. That could have been a good opportunity to swing the momentum of the round, force Wildcard to have to get a little bit aggressive. But instead, Kicks doing the best job as possible to just kind of slow down any movement, to slow down these rotations from Wildcard as a second smoke is going to be popped to cover from behind while they now commit to the plant. It's being stuck to the movement already being heard. As you can see him jostling towards Connector. Kick does get one, but immediately traded out by Kiru, who will just swing round for a second. Bino coming in from behind to force the rotation out of the Thermite, who was left with no more space to run to.
Disable the bomb diffuser.
Wildcard
Defenders win.
grabbed the round. And while I don't hate how Make-A-Wish played that, I also do wonder if they could have maybe committed to that plant the first time around.
Change the game. 100%. Taking that plan initially, where they had a player actually inside Blue Hall, was holding in Cubby, and couldn't be seen by Kicks initially. If they had played that, they wouldn't have lost Bry on the initial swing in. Sorry, not Bry, I take that back. They would not have lost Kicks on the initial swing in alongside Silent. There would have been much more potential for Make-A-Wish to hold on to it. I'm not sure what exactly forced the hand to stop the plant.
Protect your bombs from
The smoke dissipates, they lose a player, they get off. The player that lost was 30 feet away. Or yards, however long that is in non-real numbers and measurement systems.
Non-real numbers.
It's just a made-up system, I'm calling
This
it here.
distance is a social construct.
It's so right. They were right. But Make-A-Wish, they're so close again, and it just feels like every time they're at this precipice, the boiling point, where you'd expect it to broil over the top, somebody puts a spoon in the pot, somebody turns off the flame, and it just all dies out. And the Wildcard Aces come in and clean up the trash, and that's really what Make-A-Wish look like when it comes to those in-game engagements. They dogged on JJ last round, or the 2 rounds prior in the last half switch. They said JJ doesn't have that clutch team. Couldn't handle it. Didn't get to clutch it up. Guess what? Make-A-Wish don't have a clutch gene either. As a team, they can't find themselves success when it comes to the objective.
Oh. Could end here. Could see a 7-3, 7-3. That would be a little bit poetic, especially considering the rounds played out almost identically. In fact, they almost identically. Not quite. But again, dealing with this extended top floor hold, they're going to run it back, Wildcard, right? And it was dealt with the last time initially by going straight to Ego Balcony, opening the window and breaking open the breach, which forced Kiru back. This time around, they are engaging more directly with Library. And you can see just 50 seconds kind of wasted doing nothing. They are able to get a kill onto JJ, though, who is just getting a little bit overzealous, walking out to the window in West Main Lobby. And that's going to give Kix the opportunity just to jump straight on in. The Frostmat dismantled, going to walk to the corridor, get the kill onto Bino prone. He's lost sight. Kix has claimed a triple.
Kix has apparently come into their own element. Dogs on JJ, question marks in the chat, follows suit with Bino and Bry. Now it's up to the Wildcard Aces to come back here in this round. Maxley will attempt to start here. The plant hops off of it, and that's where Kiru will pounce. Beautiful again. The Wildcard Aces denial here of Diffuser has been pristine, and now it is just Kix and it's over. Riot, defensively, the best player we've seen today by far when it comes to the defense. They come up clutch again. An insurmountable wall to overcome, and Make-A-Wish falls short as expected after that map 1 performance.
I don't know what to say here. That round, I'm looking at it, the way it's panned out, the way everything is looking. You're in a 2 versus 5. You've stolen site control away. At that point, you are the team that has control. You're the team that is playing to maintain this win. And again, Make-A-Wish, just the plate is in front of you. You've just been served a delicious meal. You just gotta grab your knife and fork and tuck on in. And instead, they're just kind of sat there drinking the water, and the meal just gets taken away by the waiter. You kicked out the restaurant for wasting their time, and you've just paid for nothing. And that's just kind of, it's unfortunate. Make-A-Wish again in a position where they can try and play out some of these rounds, but the composure from Wildcard Aces, the clutch gene exists. The clutch gene has been evolutionized into the DNA. I don't know what that word's supposed to be, so I'm going to roll with it. And, I mean, look, you can see the replays coming out, this back and forth between both teams, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing the stats not quite as close as Villa, but still sort of in a position where you're like, a game's probably felt a little bit closer than maybe it ended up being.
Silent had a ridiculously good game there. Once again, a player stepping out of nowhere for the losing side, for Make-A-Wish, that you look at the stats, I guarantee when we bring them up, it's gonna seem like this game was close. It's gonna look like you throw everything else out the window, just look at the kills, the assists, the deaths. It's gonna look like these two teams are very evenly matched. And while, yes, quite a lot of those rounds could have gone either way, but I would still say Chalet was more one-sided than Villa. Villa really had rounds that should have and could have gone to Make-A-Wish. There was only a couple here on this map of Chalet that I can really give the edge over towards that side. But it's a new team. You said that they got their forks out, their plates out. They showed up to an all-you-could-eat buffet and took one plate. They didn't get their money's worth. They didn't get as much as they could have. And because of that, they, unfortunately, can't get anything. They're not going to be moving on, and same thing cannot be said to our victors. A big, big win and a much-needed one to come out for Wildcard.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing the stats just highlighting that. Silent, 11 kills again. I mean, Kiru had a really big performance. Just put some big numbers into big rounds. I just think across the board, right, you just didn't see the same step up from a lot of the players on Make-A-Wish, and that even spread that we kind of expected to, or would have wanted to see from them to have a better chance. And I think you're coming in against Wildcard on a map like Chalet that they are very comfortable on. They have played time and time again. They know exactly what they're doing. I mean, it was always going to be a little bit difficult if you lost your opening game, if you lost your opening map, your home map, and then you have to go and play them on Chalet. I think they did a good job despite that to try and pull some good plays in these rounds, and they put up a good fight. But, I mean, Wildcard, they came in as the slight favourites, right? Like we said it before. The team that I think a lot more people were expecting to win this out, a team with a little bit more sort of core synergy, core history, a bit more success as well. It's always going to be an uphill battle for Make-A-Wish there, and they did a good job. And I mean, Maxley and Silent in particular had some real big maps, hits, some amazing performances. The triple kill there on the IQ right at the end, like, the team should be able to follow through up on that one. But good effort, though.
Yeah. I'll point out Riot was a player that wasn't doing exceptionally well on the map of Chalet in comparison to the performance they brought forward on our map of Villa. And yeah, they started off on the defense, so Riot, the defensive player, can step up big. They got their chance to shine though in that last round. What was it? 3 kills from above to come back from a huge disparity of numbers to pull up that clutch gene that we said was so prevalent in the wildcard side and just was non-existent for Make-A-Wish. That's a big plug. That is a huge, huge plug. But we got an interview ready here for the players and for the viewers. We're bringing in JJ. What's up, JJ? How you feeling after that victory? No audio? Can't hear? How about now? We'll just keep talking. We'll keep chatting away until you get. You good?
Oh, I can hear now. Tofu's ass.
All right. How you feeling? How are you feeling after that victory?
Not very good. We should have beat them in the regular season. They won a Mickey Mouse best of 1. Ran it back on the same map, and we won because Kicks didn't drop 20. They also had Yardy, so it was kind of a troll game. So really, I'm really looking more forward to tomorrow. That again was just kind of just showing up and shooting.
Yeah, it did feel like their strategies weren't as cohesive, that's for sure. And you guys definitely had the camaraderie. First map of Villa, you guys set up a wonderful performance defensively. Riot, though, saved many rounds. So many rounds that could have gone either way. What changes for you guys going into another series where you're not facing a team like that, where they don't have subs, where it is their roster? Y'all need to change your game plan, your practices. What's on your mind for that?
Don't need to change anything. We're just gonna come up and shoot tomorrow. No real big difference. Part of our team is Riot shooting. Part of our team's Bri shooting. Part of our team's Kira shooting. Part of our team is shooting. Part of the team is me getting open and picks or getting open and picked. Kind of just the way of the cycle. We're gonna show up and shoot out by Aerial Rise tomorrow.
You had a somewhat slower performance on map 2. Did have a big step up towards the end, but the other team was starting to dog on you ever so slightly in the chat. You guys were a little bit back and forth with the banter for it. But we know for a fact you can step up big. When it comes to you being able to fall back in a map like Chalet and don't need to be the player that has the numbers, what gives you the ability to trust your team like that? Is it Riot's ability to clutch up? Is it having to deal with Bri, who can swing angles and get wins? Is it Kiro doing runouts and unfortunately just missing it by the tiniest ledge? What gives you confidence that your team can pick up?
We're like, I don't know. Like I have the most confidence in the world in my teammates, man. Like Bri should be in PL at this point, man. Bri's a beast. Same with like Riot. Riot's incredibly underrated. That guy can play literally any role on the map and still frag out. And then Bino's like one of the best support players in the scene, honestly. Here's like that young talent. He's not afraid to peek anything. So I don't have to do much, but I've been working a lot on trying to improve. Just today wasn't necessarily my day, but I didn't have to do anything. My teammates kind of just killed everyone. But yeah. I mean, I'll be better tomorrow, that's for sure. I mean, like I said, I'll take my 4 teammates over anyone on their team any day of the week.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I got another big question for you. This one a little bit more about the strategy. You guys, when you were defending towards kitchen and dining, you would play an extension inside of Ivy Hall with a shield. Instead of placing shield on piano like a lot of teams normally would, you place in the door frame towards Ivy Hall. Why do you do that?
I'll make sure that's on that map. You asked Riot that question. No, seriously though, that is I don't know. That's how like most pro teams are playing it nowadays anyway. They just did straight out the book. Nothing crazy there. So yeah, that's just copying stuff right out the book. Most of our defense can be attributed to Riot.
You see it a lot of the times that you guys would get cut off from that mezzanine big window, and still, despite the fact you lose control of that, you guys would have players on site that, off screen most of the time for observing, that would still pick up those frags. Speaking of those frags, that last round was a bit tough for you guys in the very beginning, and y'all still managed to pull it back, and a lot of that is attributed to Riot on that second floor, and give big props to him for me. Riot had I said it towards the end, Riot was the best defensive player on both maps for sure, just the clutch factor and their ability to play. But I got no more questions for you, but I do want to bring up, allow you to get your space. You've already highlighted how much you love your team and trust them universally. But anyone else out there you want to give a shout out to and give big thanks to before we let you go?
Yeah, I don't care about my team that much right now. I care about shout out Twiz! Shout out Wildcard, shout out Twiz, shout out Bio, your ass. Do I have any other crazy shout outs today? No, that's it. Bio's just ass.
All right, well, it's said here first by
lost
JJ.
the
Thank you very
Hong
much,
Kong
JJ,
Rebels.
for
Back to-
joining here in the booth.
Oh,
Glad to have you. Thank you very much. And we'll go ahead and bring Galu back in here. Maybe have nicer words to say about Bio, or maybe not. I don't know what Galu's opinion is about Bio at this point. But entertaining interview nonetheless. Apparently, JJ's just there to shoot guns and let his teammates do the exact same thing. So it is what it is. God, do you have any closing words before we send everyone out of here before our second BO3?
No, not really. I think it was a kind of a little bit quicker than I expected it to be over. I think the result, not to be sort of dismayed or put to the side, kind of what you wanted to see coming in. And I think they'll be the better team looking forward towards our semi-final, towards our grand final. I'd be surprised if we don't see them there. So I think coming for them in tomorrow should be a banger match.
They only lost, like I said, Mickey Mouse BO1, and we're finally out of that stage. The Swiss side over its playoffs. And we'll get to see our second matchup of the night. 2 new sets of casters. Maybe 1 new set of casters to be sure. It's the Casting Musical Terror Show. Stay tuned for more for that second series to go underway. We'll see you guys when it's ready to start.